Righto, gang, we are live. Welcome back to our second live YouTube video. Remember, every Thursday at 1 p.m. I go live and I break down a franchise topic. So make sure you're tuning in, guys. Every Thursday, 1 p.m. You can put your questions in the comments. Great opportunity to learn. Last week on the first episode, it was a killer episode. We spoke about royalty fees and I broke down what royalty fees are and the 3 different types of structure for the royalty fees. I highly recommend if you're coming into a franchise that you watch that video, because royalty fees are what you pay to the franchisor for the lifetime of the franchise agreement. And it's quite a big expense that adds up. So I think it makes sense that you 100% understand what the royalty fee structure is for whatever franchise agreement that you're entering in. So definitely watch that. But today's flavor, we are going to be talking about something interesting, and I've got it up right here. Here it is. What to look for in a franchise that no one tells you. Wow. What to look for in a franchise that no one tells you. If you're in that franchise discovery phase right now, where you're looking for the right franchise, you're speaking to people, you're speaking to different franchise companies, I'm going to tell you some things to look out for. Now, I want you to keep in mind, I'm a franchisor. So I'm in the business of selling franchises. That's my job. I currently run a kids basketball franchise, Little Boomers Basketball. We're all over Australia, but we're a franchise. So it's my job to sell franchises. So I'm going to tell you exactly what to look out for, because I've got a lot of friends that are franchisors, got a tutoring franchise, got other people that are franchisors. And what you need to understand is when you're speaking, whether it's to a founder, a broker, a franchise sales manager, they get commission on the franchise sale. So I think you don't have to be a rocket scientist to put 2 and 2 together to realize that if they get commission on the franchise sale, well, maybe they're going to say some stuff to you to get you in the door so that they get paid out, right? Makes sense. So I'm going to tell you exactly what to look for in a franchise that no one tells you, me being a franchisor myself. Okay, so point number 1, and this is really important. In any franchise that you're currently looking at buying, you need to speak to a minimum of 5 franchisees over the phone. Take the time to do due diligence and speak to 5 franchisees on the phone. Why do you think that is? Well, it's actually quite a simple answer. If I'm trying to sell you a franchise, I'm going to be telling you why you should join our franchise. We offer you support. We do marketing for you. We get you leads. You know, we're on call if you ever get stuck. We do site visits. I'm going to say a lot of things to you. Some of them might be true. Some of them might not be true, right? But what you need to do is speak to the 5 franchisees and validate what you're hearing from the broker or the franchise sales manager to what the franchisees are saying. If you speak to the franchisees and say, yeah, we offer support and everything lines up and it's congruent, awesome. You might have the right franchise for you. But if I'm, or whoever's trying to sell you a franchise is saying to you, hey, we're going to help you with marketing. We're going to get you leads. We're going to do site visits. We're going to help you with recruitment. And then you're speaking to the franchisees and asking them these questions. And they're saying to you, what are you talking about? We didn't get any help. I've actually called up my franchise support officer, and sometimes he doesn't even return my phone calls. Well, that's a big red flag. So what you need to do is make sure that you validate what you're hearing from the person that's selling you the franchise with the actual franchisees that are in the network. And I'm going to say something as well that might sound a little bit controversial. If the person that's selling you the franchise isn't letting you speak to franchisees or doesn't let you speak to franchisees, well, holy moly, that is a massive red flag. So speak to 5 franchisees. You know, I've got a couple of really great questions that you can ask franchisees. What surprised you after joining? What's harder than you expected? Or would you do it again? If you could go back in time, would you sign the franchise again? Imagine the answers and the information that you'll get. So that's step number 1, or point number 1, speak to at least 5 franchisees, make sure it's matching up. Okay, so point number 2, review the franchise disclosure document properly and make sure you have a franchise solicitor or a solicitor review the franchise disclosure document. Team, the franchise disclosure document, it's a table in the franchise agreement that lists all the fees that the franchisor can charge you during the lifetime of the franchisee, or during the lifetime of the franchise. And there's all the fees in there. So I think it makes sense for you to go through that document with a fine-tooth comb. Because I don't want you signing the franchise agreement and then you get an invoice 1 month later, marketing fee $3,000. What the heck is this for? I thought I paid my franchise investment. I didn't know about this fee. Well, it's not your fault. Sorry, it's not the franchisor's fault. It's your fault because you didn't look at the franchise disclosure document. So make sure you take the time to review the franchise disclosure document. It's the most important document in any franchise agreement. And we as franchisors, we have to update it every single year in October. We actually have to do 2 updates, one in April and one in October. And I'll give you a story. This is a real story that happened. I was speaking to somebody that was interested in franchising, and he was telling me how he was looking at another franchise company, but he didn't go ahead with them. And when I asked why, he said, well, I was ready to sign the franchise, and in the agreement, I saw that there's a $3,000 quarterly marketing fee that was not mentioned to me. Imagine that, a $3,000 quarterly marketing fee. That's $12,000 a year. That's a lot of money eating into your overheads. And he felt a little bit blindsided because the person that he was speaking to about the franchise didn't mention this to him. So he decided to discontinue with the franchise, right? And I don't want that to be you. So make sure you review the franchise disclosure document properly. And point number 3, and this is really important. This is part of you doing research and doing your due diligence as a potential franchisee. Check for litigations and disputes within the franchise. Now, in any franchise agreement, there's litigations or disputes that happen. We have sometimes in our network, a franchisee might not be compliant, a franchisee might not be performing up to standards, and that's affecting the whole network, right? Because that's what you're buying into. You're buying into a brand. So if there's a franchisee that's not operating well, all the neighboring franchisees are affected by it. So it's the job of the franchisors, us, to make sure all the franchisees are operating to the best they can. So there's always going to be a healthy amount of disputes and litigation. No franchise network is perfect where there's no litigations and there's no disputes. If there is, maybe the franchisor just doesn't care about its network enough. But what you want to look out for is there any common litigations problems happening, like problem paying with fees, problem with invoices? You want to look to see and do your research and to see if there's any common reoccurring litigation problems. And if so, you got to research and find out why. Speak to the franchisee, bring it up to the franchisor, but you want to make sure that there's no common trend that happens in the network. So you need to check the litigations and check the disputes. And by the way, we as a franchisor, once a year, we need to update what we call our franchise disclosure registry. It's a public tool that's available on the network. And in that document that we upload that's live, we actually say how many litigations, do we have any breach notices, are we currently have any disputes, because we need to give that information to the public, right? So check it out. It's called the Franchise Disclosure Registry. We as franchisors need to update it every once a year, just update the people to see if there's any litigations or dramas happening in the Bahamas. So make sure you check for litigations and disputes. Now, what I want to do is answer a common question that I get over the phone when I'm taking franchise discovery calls. And one of the questions I get is, Emil, is there anyone that's selling the business? And if so, why are they selling the business? Now, I understand why they're asking that question because, it's a bit of a red flag if somebody's selling the business and they want to find out why. I think what they're trying to solve for is that element of certainty. They want to have 100% certainty that this business model has worked for everybody and that nobody has ever sold the franchise. That's a false illusion, okay? In any franchise network, there's a healthy amount of churn. In any franchise network, every year there's going to be a healthy number of churn. At the end of the day, a franchisee might want to move on. Maybe their goals aren't aligned. Maybe they're interested in something else. Maybe, God forbid, something happened to their, a lifestyle circumstance where they had to sell the franchise and a new franchise operator came in, or maybe the franchise company just kept it themselves. That's completely normal. There's always going to be a healthy amount of churn. What is abnormal is when there is a lot of franchisees selling in a single year. Like if you've noticed a lot of franchisees that are selling, then that might signal a red flag for you to investigate further and find out, well, what's going on here with these franchises? I'm going to have to investigate it more. So just remember, healthy amount of churn is fine. An abnormal number of franchisees or selling in a year, you might have to investigate that further. Maybe the business model's broken. Maybe the franchisor is promising things and under-delivering. You got to investigate that further. But team, that brings us to the end of our video today of what to look for in a franchise. I want to summarize key points for you. Just remember, when you're buying a franchise, because I take a lot of discovery calls, people are quite emotional in the purchase, right? They get very excited. They're about to be their own boss. They're about to own something that's theirs. And sometimes that excitement can also paralyze you to the red flags, to the point where they're just ready to sign the dotted line at any time. I don't want that to be you. So remember, point number one, speak to at least 5 franchisees and just make sure what you're hearing from the broker or the sales manager matches up with what the franchisees are saying. Point number 2, review the franchise disclosure document properly. I highly recommend a solicitor. And if any fees sound weird or don't make sense to you, bring them up to the franchisor, the broker, or whoever you're speaking to. And point number 3, check for litigations and disputes. There's always going to be some litigations happening in the network, but what you need to look out for is there any common issues or reoccurring themes or patterns of litigations? Okay. With that being said, team, I hope you enjoyed our live video. Remember, save it into your phone or into your calendar. Every Thursday at 1 p.m., I break down one franchise topic for you to learn, and I will see you next week. Adios. God bless.